All right, well, right now, as you can see, happen to be in another hotel. Seem to have been in a lot of these lately. This one happens to be in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm so stinking excited. We're getting ready to go to the Show of Shows, which is one of the largest military antique shows in the world. But anyway, got something I want to show you first. So earlier this week, got a call from Erik Dorr asking for a favor. He said that he had something that was coming in from France, but it wasn't going to be showing up to his house on time. And he asked if it could be sent to me, and if I could bring it to Louisville for him. So anyway, I have resisted the temptation to open this, but we're going to deliver this to Erik today and see what we got in the box. This is going to be the third time that I've been to the Show of Shows, and it's been different every year that I've been there. There are all kinds of crazy rare artifacts that you can see. Might even see if we can pick up some things ourselves to add to the personal collection. But anyway, going to stop yakking. We're going to go grab some breakfast and then get on over to the Show of Shows. All right, well, we just rolled in here, and holy smokes. I mean, look at all of the cool artifacts. For somebody who's into history and into artifacts, this is where it's at. So we're gonna roam the floor and see what we can see. I gotta find Erik and deliver his mail, and see what they have here at the Show of Shows this year. But anyway, so I'm just gonna kind of wander around here and film what catches my eye. So here we have a few German uniforms, but this is what really caught my eye here. This is a big old German eagle that was sent home by a guy from the 3rd Infantry Division in 1945, and says there that the wing was cut off so that it could fit in whatever shipping container or box that he sent home. Actually see the wing back there, but that's pretty dang cool.
Anyway, that's the gift for you. Yeah.
All right, so at the SS Steel booth, this is Kelly Hicks's booth. He specializes really in helmets and SS bringbacks. So here are a few helmets that he has on display here. Different camo patterns. He always has some really interesting stuff. Hate to say it, Kelly has been the recipient of some of my money from time to time, and I probably would have been taking a serious look at this helmet here, but it's already sold. But he always has some pretty amazing historic items.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hicks from SS Steel. We are at the 2023 Show of Shows in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm happy to meet my acquaintance JD for a little discussion about some of the artifacts that I've brought here to the show. One that I wanted to show you is this is a tunic of an Army second lieutenant, German Army, in the very famous guard unit Feldherrnhalle, which they grew out of the SA unit, the stormtroopers who martyred in the beer hall putsch in 1923. So they got a special emblem on their helmets that had a picture of the Feldherrnhalle, which JD has featured in some of his previous videos, because it's a remarkable old German war monument. So that became part of the lineage of this unit. So with that said, the unit grew into an army unit, a very premier German army, with the SA emblem, the stormtrooper or Sturmabteilung emblem, as their cipher on their shoulder boards. It's in the case as an infantry second lieutenant. Also with the cuff title in the early version in what's called Suderland script, this says Feldherrnhalle. And so this gentleman, this officer, was a member of that unit. And what's special about the unit is that they were the guard battalion in Berlin when Operation Valkyrie happened, and I'm sure a lot of viewers have probably seen the movie with Tom Cruise called Valkyrie that highlighted how Count von Stauffenberg tried to assassinate Hitler in July of 1944 in Rastenburg, East Prussia, with a bomb, and so it was unsuccessful. And immediately this guard battalion went into action and began to hunt down and arrest the members of the plot, including some famous generals and including Count von Stauffenberg himself. The thoroughness and sort of shock speed at which this unit operated probably was instrumental in helping Hitler stay in power another almost year. So unfortunate as that was, they did their job, and so it's a very famous unit, and this one is here for sale at the show. That's basically the story on that. I have some other artifacts that are related to the SS in terms of their camouflage, a mountain troops uniform, a lot of helmets, including some camouflage, and it's been a good show. And I just also want to just mention that good camaraderie with fellow collectors and historians is what brings me to this, and is such a treat to do this on an annual basis.
Kelly just mentioned that he also has an SS uniform from SS Mountain Troops. So if we look at this uniform here, well, you can see this Edelweiss patch here on the right sleeve. We can look here and see that there's 3 pips along with a stripe, so he was a first lieutenant, and then has this bullion eagle here. And then something else that he has here that is just pretty fascinating, and really a historic marker of a pretty dark time in World War II. This is a German dog tag to a guy who was one of the guards at Auschwitz, and it's pretty hard to read, at least on camera, but on there it says Auschwitz. But yeah, very interesting historic pieces here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Have a delivery for you.
Oh, thank you. Holy mackerel.
That thing's come across the Atlantic and then halfway across the U.S.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you did an intro to this or anything, but I made a deal to buy this particular artifact, and I guess maybe we could do a little unboxing here at some point. But the guy who was supposed to bring it couldn't come, and then he was supposed to have a courier bring it over, or a mutual friend, and he didn't get over to the D-Day Experience Museum in time. So we ended up FedExing it, and it would have arrived after I left for Louisville. So it went to JD's high school. But it's here now, and I can't wait to open it. And if I can find a knife somewhere, I think.
Oh, come on. Think about who you're talking to right now.
Yeah, that's right. I'm hanging out with JD. Where will I find a knife? Duh. All right, so let's do it. Oh man.
This is fragile. I don't know how to put this on.
Amazing. So what we're looking at here is, this is Forrest Guth from Easy Company 506, one of the real Band of Brothers guys. This is a pilot chute. So they'd have a T5 parachute, and then they would have a reserve parachute. And when you would pull the handle from the reserve, this would come out first. This parachute would deploy and pull the rest of the other parachute out. So what Forrest Guth did was, on May 8th, 1944, I think that may have been the date of the Churchill jump, he had members of Easy Company sign this. So there's all kinds of names on here. And I have the book, the Forrest Guth's book, back at my room, and we'll have to drop in there a little bit later because all these names are transcribed. It's a little difficult to read. The problem with these signed parachutes, I've seen a few of them, not an Easy Company one, but the problem with them is the nylon material causes the ink to fade a little bit. But this is all transcribed. I'm going to lay it down so JD can get a couple of good shots of it there. What an amazing artifact,
Wow.
I love this.
Oh, look at that.
Company. Wow.
That's a good thing.
Wow.
There's Carwood Lipton, I can see that one. Buck Taylor, I can recognize a few of these.
Buck Taylor.
Yeah, so Kenneth Mercer. But anyway, Paul Rogers. I do have it transcribed, or Forrest Guth actually transcribed this in his book, so we'll drop in on that a little bit later. But thanks for bringing that for me, JD.
Yeah,
That's
not
really
a problem.
Cool. I've been after this for a long time, and like we said in the D-Day Experience video that we did, we kind of work together. You know, sometimes I'll give them some items, sometimes they'll give me some items. This was in that museum for a long time, and you know, he just thought it was better to come here at this point. So this is going to be in our Easy Company exhibit, and I'm real happy to get it.
You have no idea how hard it was for me to not open that myself.
Right now, this is something that's really cool, and one thing I like about coming to these shows is you're always learning. So this is called a Wilkinson sword. It's a British officer sword. This is from World War I, so you can see royal marking right there. And one thing about these Wilkinson swords is that they were all numbered, so you can see the number right there on the side of the blade. And they kept records of who got these. So you can go back into the military records, look up the number, and then match it up with the individual who the sword was presented to.
What's cool about this guy, he was a second lieutenant in 1918, and he did a heroic deed, it's all written here, and he got the Military Cross for it. But in World War II, he was 44 years old and he was killed in action. So he got his Military Cross in World War I and was later killed in action at 44 years old in 1944.
Very interesting.
Holy smokes, look at what they have here. This is Dwight D. Eisenhower's rabbit. Actually, I don't know that. I don't even know why this rabbit's here, but it's kind of cool.
I'd like to introduce everyone to Bill Shea. Now, Bill Shea and me have been friends for years, and he's really helped the Gettysburg Museum of History a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. And also, he's a great source for military antiques. He has some of the best stuff in the world, and he's also an accomplished author, and I highly recommend his 4-volume set. These books are amazing, so check them out. So if you're not buying from the Gettysburg Museum of History, and if we happen to not have it in stock, go to the Ruptured Duck, and Bill will hook you up. So thank you, Bill. Thanks for always being a friend and being there all the time. So
you bet. Really appreciate all those kind words, and I would say it's absolutely a mutual admiration society. Not only have we done a lot of business together, we've socialized, and I'm so pleased that you offer so many different things at your museum. Also, the attendance is still
very good.
Free?
Oh yeah, free to get in anytime.
Yeah, and there's so much different things to see. And if you're around, when Erik's around, you get a personalized tour. And I can assure you that the way that the items are displayed, you will not only be entertained, but you'll also be educated. And that's very important because we're looking to preserve history. But in addition to that, we're also looking to perpetuate the memory of our veterans to younger people. And I'm a retired school teacher, so I always try to portray that, and places like the Gettysburg Museum. I'm on the board of directors for 2 museums. I consult for auction houses and museums, and I believe they're an absolute integral part of what we do. And if that is removed, then the idea of it being preserved further down the road is going to be affected. So what we do, especially what Erik devotes his life to, is a very important thing, and I'm very proud to be a friend.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Rupturedduck.com. Check it out.
Here's a pretty interesting piece here at the Ruptured Duck booth. So we've spent quite a bit of time at the Berghof in the History Traveler and American Artifact series. We'll take a look at this. There at the Berghof, just below it, there was a farm that was owned by a guy named Rasp. Well, when Hitler moved in, Rasp needed to find another place to go. So he ended up moving, and as a gift for Rasp's 80th birthday, well, he was given this presentation picture of Adolf Hitler along with a note, and then you can see his signature down there. Something else that they have here that is interesting is the ID book of Hitler's doctor. Now, the ribbon on this is something that was added later on, and they're very clear that they're not sure on the medals. It came with the collection. So the ID book is good. The medals could or it may or may not be the doctor's. But yeah, very, very fascinating artifacts. Oh, and speaking of rare artifacts from World War II, here we have one of these flag toppers here. I've seen one of these at the Gettysburg Museum of History. All right, just rolled up to the M1 Helmet Depot, and as the name implies, looking at a bunch of M1 helmets from World War II. Here's the one that really jumped out at me, though. This is a chaplain's helmet. That's not really something that you see very often. So, yeah, that is really, really cool. All right, got another table here at the show specializing in World War I items. Of course, we got a lot of painted helmets here. Here's a painted gas mask bag from somebody in the 8th Division, obviously. There's a 1st Army. So I love these painted helmets. Here's a 3rd Infantry Division, Rock of the Marne. I already have a helmet that's painted from the 3rd Infantry Division, or else I'd probably be taking that one home. But there's another item here at this table that I just picked up that I'll show later. But yeah, always love looking at the World War I items. Oh, we also have some World War I Girl Scout cookies. Now, if you watched the episode that we did on Sepp Dietrich's uniform, well, this might look familiar. This is the Pilot Observer's Badge with diamonds. Now, the one that we showed in the video was a reproduction. This is not a reproduction. This is the real deal. So you can see it is quite sparkly, and the price tag is also sparkly, like way more than old JD makes in a year. But there were less than 50 of these, or about 50, awarded. So that kind of speaks to the rarity of it. And yeah, they have one right here at the show. Pretty crazy. There's always something at the show that stands out to me more than anything else, and this might be it for me this year. This is a World War I observer's balloon basket. So that is really, really interesting. I can't say that I've ever seen one of these before. Now this basket, to the best of my knowledge, wasn't used in combat over on the Western Front, but was used for training here in the United States. But still, to see one of these in person is pretty neat. And if I brought that home, I think my wife would kill me. But it would be worth it. Now this is pretty cool as well. Got ourselves a 82nd Airborne jump jacket right here. That's a pretty rare item. Alright, so things are kind of wrapping up here. Got to meet a lot of people who watch the show, which is really kind of cool. But anyway, we're going to get out of here. We picked up a few things, but we're going to dodge back to the hotel room and yeah, show what our haul was for today. So we just got back from the show up here in Erik's room, and let me show you something completely ridiculous right now. Good grief. All right, we're gonna take a look at some of this stuff.
Okay, we got back from the show, and I've seen many times on some of the forums that guys will take their loot from the shows and just kind of dump it out on the bed and start taking pictures, and I've never done that before. I just usually put the items in my suitcase and go home with it and start inventorying it, but I just decided, since JD was coming up here to do some filming for some of the items we got for the museum, that we would just spread everything out on the bed, and there's really not enough room. But here it is. You know, we were able to get some flags and some train eagles, and actually some Hitler silver and some good SS insignia this time. Not a lot of armbands. Those are really hard to get now, and they're very desirable. They go instantly on the website. But one of the things I really want to say is we buy this stuff. When you see stuff on our website for sale, we buy it from someone. We're not taking donations at the museum and selling them that, you know, people have accused us of doing in the comments. We buy these items for resale so we can make money to buy the items for the museum, and we were able to get some great items for the museum. I'll go over those in a minute, but I'd like to just maybe run down a few of the items we got that will be on the website. We got a bunch of flags, as I said. We got some train eagles. We were able to get 2 train eagles, one 24, one 27 inch, and you know, the Hitler silver. You know, we always try to find that when we can. We found these really amazing Hermann Goering calling cards with his symbol embossed in there, and it says Heil Hitler, and then it has a signature. Now that's not a hand signed signature, it's a printed one. Now we talked a little bit about the Forrest Guth item that we did get at the museum, that was shipped over here and JD delivered, and I do have that book here, and this is the Forrest Guth parachute that we talked about earlier. But I just wanted to go over a couple of the names that are on there that I said it was transcribed in this book. So we have Sergeant Talbert, Sergeant Buck Taylor, Sergeant Crash Triddle, Captain Ken Mercer, Burma Maynard. Now this has all their nicknames. This was done by Guth. Private Jim Mo Alley, PFC Shadow Liebgott, Private Earl McClung, Private Orrin Lesinensky. I don't know if I need to read all these, but a lot of these are guys that were killed. I mean, these are really rare signatures. We have Tippers on here, Skinny Sink, Mallet was on there, who was killed, Lou Hendricks, Gordon is in there, and I mean, Carwood Lipton's on there. I mean, it's some really great signatures. And I was really happy to get that. And that's going in the museum. This was one of the big museum purchases. You know, we have the big Easy Company collection, and that'll fit in well. Another item we got for the museum that is a keeper. This is an SS early style coffee can kepi, and this would be worn in the early SS brown shirts. You know, originally before they came out with the black uniforms, they had a brown shirt just like the SA guys, and they wore a black hat and black pants. And I've been looking for one of these for years, and because I do have a brown shirt in our collection, an SS brown shirt, and it's also named, it has a guy's name in here. We'll get some close-ups of that in a minute. But the big thing that we got here, and I've been after for a very long time, I've been thinking about this for a very long time, was the Patton's boots. I knew where these were. These were in the museum in Malmedy, and I visited that beautiful museum many times, and I got word that it was closing, and there was rumors about it for a while, and I contacted the owner. Again, I work with him sometimes to source items, and I said, do you still have Patton's boots? And he said he did, and so he brought them here, and I was able to purchase Patton's boots. Now these are low quarter boots, got his spurs on there. He wore these sometimes in Africa, and when he couldn't wear his high cavalry boots because it was too hot, and sometimes to some formal occasions where the high boots really just wouldn't be proper. But these were exhibited for many years in that museum, and we have, I just grabbed a couple photos. this was actually sourced by one of Patton's biographers for me, Kevin Himmel. I owe him for that. He found this really good picture of him wearing these boots in Africa. And there's a couple other photos. You know, most people are used to seeing Patton with the really high boots on, and most press events and stuff, he would have those. Here's a picture of them on display in the museum in Malmedy, where they were for a long, long time. And then, you know, here's a couple other quick shots of him wearing the low style boots. And there's one here at a more formal occasion where he has those same type of boots on. So he did wear those kinds sometimes, and you know, we have the provenance on it and everything, but Patton's boots, I mean, that is just amazing to me, you know. So for the museum, the big items were the kepi and the parachute and the boots, and we got a couple other things. I found a cool picture of Clark Gable wearing one of the hats that we have in our collection, and I may keep a couple of those cuff titles too for our collection, but a lot of it's for resale, so go to GettysburgMuseumofHistory.com and check it out.
I want to focus in on just a few things in this ridiculous pile. One being this 1,000-stitch belt that, as you can see, has a tiger pattern on it, and also like these coins, I guess, that were sewn in. This is really fascinating. I've seen a 1,000-stitch belt that has the tiger pattern. As a matter of fact, I see it often because I got it from Erik, and then he regretted selling it to me and got this one, and this one might be cooler. But anyway, also there was something really neat that happened at the show. There was a gentleman that purchased this shoulder piece and this collar tab, and you can see here's the veteran that brought it back. Like many of these items from the Third Reich, they were brought back as souvenirs, but I guess Erik was really looking at this, and then the guy purchased it, and then afterwards got to thinking about it and thought, you know what, the better place for this is at the museum. So I was standing there whenever he brought it up and offered it to Erik. So yeah, pretty cool. So this will be on display at the museum. But yeah, all kinds of interesting bring back items that got pulled by Erik today. Okay, so just left Erik's, got back to my hotel room here, and we're going to see what old JD found at the show. All right, now check this out. I am so stinking excited about this thing. This is the stock to a German Mauser from World War I, and as you can see, the American who brought this back as a souvenir did a little etching into the stock, so of course it was there from 1918 and 1919, but also etched France in the side of it, and this is all real rough, which is something that, I don't know, I just think is cool. And then if we flip this over, well, he also carved his name into the side over here. And I'm also going back home with this box, and as you can see here, this was something that was sent back by a guy named Paul Haynes, who lived in Pennsylvania. This is World War II. Now the lid and the box do not match, but they're kind of similar colors, but what we're guessing is that Paul sent home a few boxes, because it looks like he was kind of a pack rat. And then you can see it's got the shipping label here on the side with his name. It's also got on the other side the address. But anyway, like I said, it looks like old Paul was a bit of a souvenir hunter and a pack rat, and had all kinds of things. Again, here's the little shipping label over here. It's got this state service flag that he brought back. And if we remove this, well, you can see some other items in here as well that he sent back. There are armbands in there, and there are shoulder boards and collar tabs and a few books and all kinds of really interesting stuff. Now let me just pull this out. Here's this Hitler Youth armband, and you notice it's kind of discolored and kind of ratty. Well, that is consistent with what we would expect in this, because the acid from the box would actually get into the fabric and cause kind of like this deterioration and this discoloration, make it look really ratty. Some people don't think that that's good or whatever, but I think it's cool. I think that aged, weathered, as Erik says, salty look really adds to the whole thing. But anyway, those are the things that I picked up today at the show. All right, well, there you go. That was just a little bit from the show of shows. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit, because my gosh, we didn't show a fraction of what there is to see there at the show. But it's always cool to come here and to walk the floor and to see the artifacts and to learn new things and to hang out with fellow history enthusiasts. So if you ever get a chance and you're into history and you're into artifacts, which my gosh, who isn't, then the show of shows is definitely a place that you want to make a destination. But as for right now, I'm going to shut this camera off, and I think that I'm going to crash.